What's going on YouTube? It's Tej back again with another video, and today we continue along in our Sim franchise rebuild series, and today we are inheriting the Kansas City Chiefs. So less rebuild, more maintain greatness for today's video. If you missed the last episode, we finally jumped back into the series with the LA Chargers, and then there's videos for every other team starting with A onwards, where we are today with Kansas City. So excited to bring this video your way. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button. It would help me out a ton. And if you're new to the channel, like sports content, please consider subscribing and comment away down in the comment section. Specifically, do you think the Chiefs get another Super Bowl ring in the next 3 to 5 years? I know that sounds crazy because Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, lots of good players, Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones. But the cap makes it tough for these star-studded teams to have a full, deep roster just in case injuries happen or, whatever the likes may come Kansas City's way. So let me know in the next 3 to 5 years, do you think the Chiefs gather another Lombardi? I'm eager to hear your thoughts, but without further ado, let's jump into it. Here's the roster for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm using the same roster I used in the Chargers video, so if you want to know which roster I'm using, I think it's pretty accurate and one of the better ones I've seen so far that has all the rookies and all the free agent moves. Go ahead and go back to the Chargers video. It's within the first minute, so you don't have to scroll far. One downside is rookies still have hidden dev despite an overall increase, so 2020 rookies are kind of juiced, but other than that, it's not too bad. But here is the offense. Really interesting to see what this team does moving forward. Obviously, Mike Remmers is the weak spot there at right tackle. I think Lucas Niang actually has a pretty good shot to take that job. I don't know where he is, but we might look into him getting that playing time. But Kyle Long, getting him to come out of free agency makes a lot of sense. I kind of thought he might play some right tackle, especially after they added Trey Smith in the 6th round, which 65 overall is kind of low because he was better than a normal 6th rounder, but that's not what we're talking about. Austin Blythe on a 1-year deal. They also drafted Creed Humphrey in the 2nd round. Joe Toney, 84 overall is kind of low, but he got paid the bag this offseason, and he and Orlando Brown will be tasked with protecting the blind side for Patrick Mahomes. 2 huge additions across the offensive line. For the Chiefs, the Tyreek Hill, the playmaker. Demarcus Robinson's back on a 1-year deal. Mecole Hardman in a huge contract season. I guess they also have Tajay Sharp, and they have Byron Pringle. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they signed Jerick McKinnon, and then Darrell Williams also in the backfield. So the offense, obviously, is looking very good. The defense is where things could certainly get better. Nick Bolton is going to be our starting inside linebacker. We're going to get him playing time right away. Willie Gay is also going to be getting significant playing time. I don't know which of these outside linebackers I dislike more. Gay will replace basically one of those two between Correa and O'Daniel. Tyrann Mathieu is still one of the best safeties in the league. I'm also a big fan of Juan Thornhill, really a big supporter of his back at UVA. Jarius Sneed, one of the best cornerback of last year's draft class, honestly just made an immediate impact. You don't see that all that often. So obviously big time addition for the Chiefs. Chris Jones, fantastic. They also added Jarian Reed. They already have Derek Nottie, Frank Clark, solid player when he's on the field. Travarius Ward, good solid corner, always pretty good in Madden, so that bodes well for us. And then Taco Charlton. So really we're looking for some next level DBs, an additional edge threat, and a lot of linebacking help would go a long way to making sure this team stays competitive. And lastly, here are the specialists. Rashad Fenton's going to be our nickel corner with Demarcus Robinson for right now playing in the slot. Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting all the carries. Frank Clark, our rush right end with Taco Charlton on the opposite side. Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Jarian Reed also in the mix. I might move one of these guys over to defensive end. Maybe Jarian Reed has a skill set. He might be better than Taco Charlton as well. And lastly, sub-linebacker Nick Bolton. We bumped him up over Will Parks despite Parks being a higher overall. Also added Willie Gay as the 3rd sub-linebacker. He might get in a few reps and few touches in that role. Touch is not really a great word for it, but nonetheless, you might see the field a little bit more as a sub-linebacker, and we're just trying to boost that overall as high as we can get it. But I think now we can go ahead and move on to regular season number 1. So we're going to get aggressive, and I'm going to set our team goal for win the Super Bowl, or make it to the Super Bowl. I think that's actually what the goal said, but nonetheless, high bar that we're going for with this Kansas City team, and now we're going to go ahead and simulate to the midseason mark. It's a great roster. I'm going to say a 6-2 record by week 8. So we're at week 9 now, and we're 5-3, so I wasn't too far off on my record prediction, though coming off a 21-point loss to the Jets. Tyreek Hill's also frustrated, so that's not good. Hopefully we can turn around against the 1-7 Panthers. That bodes well. Then we have a bye week, so Signs pointing in the positive direction. Here are our upcoming free agents. Jarian Reed, wouldn't mind bringing him back potentially. We'll see. LDT, it depends on what Trey Smith overall is looking like and what his stats are. But that contract's not, outrageous. We might just want to draft a wide receiver. Also interested to see what Demarcus Robinson's production and Mecole Hardman's production looks like. But I think we're just going to go sign a better player than Robinson or potentially draft a wide receiver next year. Charvarius Ward's always someone I like to sign in these rebuilds. He's good depth, so I'm comfortable with that contract. Also have a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to our cap space. So signing Ward, we still have a little over $37 million to play around with. Austin Blythe, Creed Humphrey is going to be his replacement. Kyle Long, don't think there's a way for him on the field, maybe at left guard. So maybe we'll bring back him or LDT. I prefer LDT, a little younger and higher overall. So we'll see. Darrell Williams, think we can find a better replacement. Right tackle, we need to get better. Tajay Sharp, I'm not going to commit to that right now. Fullback and bench players. So after bringing back Ward, I think we're done with this part of free agency. We'll readdress it, obviously, at the end of the season. Here are the AFC West standings. We are ahead, and the bottom half of the division bodes well. Hopefully, we have a few games left against the Raiders and Chargers combined. Here are the stats. Mahomes doing what Mahomes does. We have the number 8 offense in regards to yards. 21st in defense. We knew that's an area we had to get better at. And then 17th in scoring. Tyreek Hill's also putting together a monster season. And same mark for points allowed. Also, Andy Reid, number 1 coach when it comes to legacy, ahead of John Madden. Isn't that amazing in Madden? I would not have guessed that. I also just bought the expert scouting with our Coach XP, so that'll hopefully help us out once we get to the draft time. But not much else for us to do right here at this point of the season, so we're going to go ahead and simulate to the playoffs where I anticipate us being involved. So, well, we are in the playoffs, but only 9-7 record. I assume we won the division because we're hosting. Yeah, we tied with the Broncos. Wow. So, this team was definitely underwhelming, no doubt about it. We're taking on the Baltimore Ravens. I assume we're the lowest division winner. We are. 4 seed taking on the highest wild card team in the Baltimore Ravens. And you can pause the screen if you so care about the rest of this 2020 playoff bracket. But before we get into that contest, let's go ahead and look at these stats again. Finish with the 15th offense. The offense fell down. The defense got a couple spots worse, too, in regards to yardage. 12th in scoring, and the defense near the bottom at 25th. Now we'll go player by player. Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, kind of a low touchdown count, low yardage count as well. Good QB rating and solid completion percentage, so we are happy with that. Very productive season for CEH. 1,150 yards, 9 tutties. You definitely will take that all day. Jerick McKinnon was, fine. Pat Mahomes, even 4.5 yards per carry is kind of nice. Tyreek Hill, a little over 1,050 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's good. Demarcus Robinson put together a strong season. Mecole Hardman, actually, as the 4th highest pass catcher, had the most catches and almost 750 yards, 5 touchdowns. So even he put up big numbers. Kelsey's numbers are kind of small, but that's just tight end and Madden algorithm, basically. The offensive line, Mike Remmers, as imagined, weakest spot on the roster. Oh, also earlier, I was definitely talking out of my ass. I said maybe LDT or Kyle Long, we could use him at left guard. We have Joe Tooney for the foreseeable future, so disregard that ignorance. But outside of Remmers, actually, the offensive line wasn't too bad. Remmers was fine, too. Nick Bolton. If this doesn't win him Rookie of the Year, I don't know what will. Also, 6 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. What a season. 13 tackles for loss from Frank Clark leads the way. Our leading sack player category, whatever you want to word it. Chris Jones with 10.5, that's all I'm trying to say. And then Dorian O'Daniel with 6. That's not a good sign. And then Nick Bolton with 4.5. And that just kind of shows what the Chiefs are battling in real life. Frank Clark's fine. I have injuries off, but in real life, he always battles injuries. So it's kind of like Chris Jones and nobody else. Hopefully, Jarian Reed boosts that numbers. Also, I forgot L'Jarius Sneed is technically a rookie still, so he might actually steal this from Nick Bolton. 5 picks. That's ridiculous. Bolton had 2 of those as well. Rashad Fenton with 2, and Will Parks picked off a pass as well. Harrison Butker, a very poor season, 75%, and then missed an extra point. What in the world? He missed 2 kicks within 29 yards. Unbelievable. This is not my Harrison Butker, and then he has 3 from 50 plus. Wow. What a down season for him. Well, for the task at hand, we play host to the Baltimore Ravens. Hopefully Arrowhead is rocking and we can come away with kind of an upset win. Well, we battled hard, but ultimately fell by 3 points that third quarter. The only quarter we didn't score, and otherwise we matched them in every quarter. That ultimately is the difference. Here are the stats. Fantastic games for both Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. CEH, another great showing, as did J.K. Dobbins. Wow, this is so weird how these teams mirror each other so much in just different ways. Specifically in this box score, they more match up, though. Mecole Hardman, 10 catches, 74 yards. That's fantastic. Sammy Watkins puts together a good game and a revenge game against the Chiefs. Demarcus Robinson catches 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill finds the end zone. Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle, a pair of tight end touchdowns for the Ravens. As for our defense, Travarius Ward leads the way in tackles. That's not good. Tackles for loss, 1 for a bunch of players. And then sacks, only 1 from Anthony Hitchens. Man, what a disappointing way for our season to end, but I think after a good offseason, we're back in that Super Bowl contender spot. Well, we simulated a Super Bowl 55, and we can take pride in knowing the team that knocked us out of the playoffs is now playing in the Super Bowl. Ravens and Bucks, that would be a super fun game to see in real life. Let's go through the yearly award winners. Matt Ryan comes away with his second MVP, and Griffin Murphy, looking a lot like Bill Belichick, winning Coach of the Year just ahead of Bruce Arians and Kevin Stefanski. AFC Offensive Player of the Year goes to Josh Allen. See if we have any Chiefs. We do have Patrick Mahomes. You can kind of forego that. That's going to happen every year. Teddy Bridgewater making the top 10. That's interesting. Defensive Player of the Year. It feels like it'll never happen in real life. TJ Watt always in the short of the stick. Desmond King at second. Wow. And L'Jarius Sneed finishes at 10th. Not bad. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Don't venture we'll see any Chiefs. Actually, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, forgot that he still counts. But he comes in ahead of a lot of other rookie running backs, so that's good. And just behind James Robinson. And then the quarterbacks populate the first 5, running backs the next 5. That's kind of funny. Defensive Rookie of the Year, our guy, Nick Bolton, edges out his teammate, L'Jarius Sneed. I saw Bolton was getting some upgrades. He's up to like a 77 overall. So there's one linebacker for the future. And then here is everybody else. Best quarterback is Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes finishes at 9th. Best running back goes to Nick Chubb. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 5th. Best wide receiver goes to Cam Sutton, then Jamison Crowder. Brandon Cooks is in there, all above Tyreek Hill. Best offensive line, Quentin Nelson. Happens every year. Jadeveon Clowney, wow, that is not the Browns name I thought I'd see. I thought it was going to be Myles Garrett, but Jadeveon Clowney, how about that? That's something different. And Chris Jones finishes at 8th. Best linebacker, TJ Watt. Nick Bolton not far off at 3rd. Best DB, Desmond King just edges out L'Jarius Sneed. That sucks. Best kicker, don't venture to think that we'll see Bucker in here, and we do not. Well, we are officially through year number 1 of the rebuild. Let's simulate to our first of 2 off seasons. And the Ravens not only won the Super Bowl, they curb stomped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So really not feeling bad about our loss early on. And also Adam Vinatieri was kicking for the Bucs. That's kind of a fun story, him and Brady. But here are the 2020 retirements. We're down a kicker. That's no fun. Big Ben calls it quits. Richie Incognito, Cameron Wake, Tywan Jones, Anthony Levine, Matt Schaub, bunch of other names. Let's see if we can reach the bottom. DRC. But yeah, you get the picture. All those players are no longer in the league. So we're back to players that we have under contract that we might want to bring back. I'm going to go look at Trey Smith's stats real quick and see if we want to bring back Larry Duvernay-Tardif. I think we're going to let Jarian Reed walk. We already have Derek Nottie and Chris Jones, who's fantastic. Marcus Robinson put up a good year, but I think we can get him cheaper on the open market if we decide to bring him back. Creed Humphrey is our long-term center. Not worried about Kyle Long or anybody else here. So, cool. I'm going to go look at Trey Smith and give you a verdict on if we're going to re-sign LDT. Yeah, unfortunately, Trey Smith has stats like a 6th-round pick as opposed to somebody who was projected to be a 2nd or a 3rd. So I'm interested in bringing back LDT on a bridge contract, but he's going to head out to free agency. It's cool. We might find a better option anyways, and if not, we might be able to still bring him back. But I'm thinking we're going to need a right guard, and we're definitely going to need a right tackle. No Rembers, Lucas Niang, too low of an overall to try to test that out. But let's go ahead and actually comb through the roster and see if there's any bad contracts we can get rid of before we head to free agency. I don't think it's going to happen this offseason just because we don't really have a better replacement as of right now, and also we'd only save $5 billion. But moving forward, I think we definitely are going to be moving on from Frank Clark. Probably after this year, 28 years old, he'll hit regression. But these cap numbers, will be huge. But by that point, we'll have given him most of his guaranteed money, so hopefully the penalty will be less than the $20.5, nearly $1 million that it is this season. But yep, I'm going to keep going through the roster and see where we might be able to save some money. So after looking through the roster, there really weren't that many moves to be made, which is good. Here is the free agency class. Couple of interesting players I'm thinking about bringing in. Brian Poole's actually kind of intriguing. Have him play in the slot with Snead, with superstar development on the outside, and then someone like Charvarius Ward also playing on the perimeter. But I think we're going to start with looking at our offensive line. LDT is the highest overall right guard, has no offers. I'm giving him the exact same offer he just turned down. 93 points. I would think that gets the job done. Unfortunately, no good right tackles. Let's look at the left side. Could bring back Eric Fisher, kick him over to right tackle. Russell Okung. Depends on how much they are asking for. It's kind of a pretty penny, and we don't have a whole lot of money to spend. So I think I'm going to wait and just see what else we might want to throw our money at. And maybe we'll just draft a right tackle. Hopefully there's a good one available. And looking at the wide receivers, I'm not very impressed with anybody here. And there's always a fair amount of good wide receivers in the draft. So maybe that is where we focus our draft assets. I don't know. It sucks not having seen the draft class, obviously. But we could also use some help at defensive end. And someone like Dean Lowry might be okay. I actually think I'm going to throw an offer at Trent Murphy here. We need some end help, we need some pass rush, we also need some better run stoppers, so I think Murphy makes some sense. Unfortunately, not a lot of great outside linebackers. I'm interested in Patrick here, and maybe moving him to outside linebacker, like left outside linebacker, basically where Willie Gay isn't playing. I'll throw out a one-year contract, lower the money some. He has no other interest or offers from anybody, so we'll see if he's willing to come to Kansas City for cheap. And we had Rashad Fenton playing in the nickel, but Brian Poole is an upgrade, and he has no interest from anybody else. So let's lower the money just a little bit. And 88 points, I think we can bring him in after stage 1. So again, I'm not in love with these wide receiver options, but Tim Patrick is 6'4", just a bigger body wide receiver that we don't have right now. Maybe I'll give him this 2-year deal. Obviously, I have to lower the money some. We just have no money to give out, only 43 points. Can't imagine he comes here. Backup plan, maybe Zach Pascal. I mean, a little bit bigger of a slot wide receiver, but then Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman doing everything else. It could work. I do think drafting a wide receiver makes the most sense for us. But with all that said, we are now going to simulate to stage 2 of free agency. And we start stage 2 with an accepted contract from Brian Poole and LDT. So, a couple of players still holding out for more money. We only have $80,000, so don't get your hopes too high. Tim Patrick, yeah, the Lions want him. They got him. Trent Murphy, we are still his highest offer. And then Patrick actually has some interest from the LA Rams. That kind of bites because obviously we could use another off-ball linebacker. I'll raise the money up some. 6.21, I wouldn't hate that contract. Let's see where this puts us. Nowhere really in the ballpark. That's fine. We're going to move on from trying to pursue Patrick. So just to give us a decent floor, we are losing Demarcus Robinson. I will throw out a 2-year contract here to Zach Pascal. 90 points. We're the only team interested. He has star dev too, which is nice. So he's going to continue to get a little better. And now I'm going to go ahead and look at some more linebacker options. So I thought about giving a contract to Michael Kendricks, but instead, he's only 1 overall better than O'Daniel, who had a fair amount of sacks last year. So I don't know, maybe we'll just stay young at linebacker, or again, try to just address it later rounds, mid-rounds in the draft. Eric Fisher also has an offer, so definitely out on him. But Russell Okung, he could be somebody we do shift over to right tackle. His stats look okay. You'd like to see the run block power be a little bit higher, but if he wants to take this small of a contract, he'd be an okay right tackle, and he'd be worth the rest of our money. So in stage 3, I'm kind of surprised we have no 5th-year options to be accepting or declining, and we have accepted contracts from Trent Murphy and Zach Pascal, which I think leaves just one player looking for money, and that would be Russell Okung. Sorry, guys. No more. Sorry, guy. No money to give out, so hopefully he just caves in. That, or he'll continue to be a free agent after the draft. So we've made it to the end of free agency. No word from Russell Okung. He has elected to stay a free agent. Pay to each their own. Kareem Jackson, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Pat Pete. So some still decent, solid veteran options here on the open market. Greg Zuerlein, a pretty good kicker. Totally forgot to go out there and get a punter. Yeah, got you. Let's see if I can do that now. Unfortunately, I can't sign anybody right now, but maybe I'll use my 7th round pick on a punter and get him for cheap over 4 years on that rookie contract. Kind of like doing that. Or I just come back and I sign somebody here. It's not that big of a deal. Here again is who we signed this free agency. Brian Poole, Zach Pascal, LDT is back, and then Trent Murphy is going to play some left end, at least as of right now. Here are the top 100 signings. Gronk's going to the Washington football team. Donta Hightower to the Chargers. Marlon Mack headed to Detroit with Tim Patrick. T.Y. Hilton's going to Washington. Jarian Reed leaves us to go to Pittsburgh. This first free agency wasn't exactly super deep, but that's okay. All this looks fine and well, but let's go ahead and move on to the NFL Draft. So we hold the 22nd pick in this year's draft. We're going to go ahead and simulate to that point now. Unfortunately, a wide receiver was just taken, so that could have been somebody we liked, but haven't seen this draft class. Don't know what the board looks like, but good thing for us, there's a running back at the top, first round of value, obviously. That's some sarcasm. First round wide receiver, physical archetype though. That's intriguing. 4.41 speed with 6'3", 226 frame. Like those catching stats, good broad jump, explosive player. Lindsey Crothers, seems like an okay player. Safety, run stopping outside linebacker could certainly be in play. Could definitely get better there. Power rush, defensive end, definitely could get better. I know we signed Trent Murphy, but Sharif Jefferson might be a good option for us to consider. But I'm going to go ahead and go through the rest of this draft board, and I'll show you who I'm considering here with our first round pick. So a lot of the players I was considering have late second round projection, early first round talent, or mid first round talent, I should say. No early first round talents left on the board, sadly. But the highest projection that would go around this range would be Lindsey Crothers. Late first round talent. I like his size, like his frame, and I know we brought in Zach Pascal, but also Mecole Hardman's been a disappointment. So after this year, we could move on from Hardman, and Crothers could be his replacement on the outside with Hill, and then Pascal still plays in the slot. So no matter what, I think Crothers carves out a role for him. Say that 10 times fast. 72 overall, little bit of a reach, but 92 speed, solid short and medium route running. We can work on the deep, good hands as well. Maybe not an immediate impact player, but I think in year 2, there's a big role carved out for him. So we're on the clock here in the second round, and there's just not a lot of first round talent players. It's like centers and then Colin Underwood here at left end. This is obviously good value. Projected 5th round, probably could have waited, but 28th player in the class, drafted him at 54. 72 overall, don't know if he sees the field this year, but maybe in year 2, kind of like what we were just talking about with our first round wide receiver. Maybe that's when they get significant playing time. All right, so first round players left are both centers. We're going to go ahead and take Skylar Heitman here. Mid first round talent, by far the best value I've seen on the board at this point. I know we have Creed Humphrey slotted into play center, but Humphrey also has guard flexibility, as could Heitman here. He's a really good pass blocker, which is really what caught my eye. 6'2", though, probably feels more like a guard. Hidden Dev, number 14 player in the class. Okay, yeah, this was a slam dunk pick. Look at those ratings. Really solid. Run blocking is a little low, but even that you can definitely work with. And maybe not a starter this year again, but we definitely need a replacement to LDT after this upcoming season. Next pick we're going to make is Marcus Sharpton. 6th round projection. Late 3rd talent. Not a great combine. Overall, just a solid player. He's a right outside linebacker. We'll move him to left so he's not, fighting with Willie Gay. Instead, he's fighting with an older player for some potential PT or of a special teams guy, and he looks okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just make our final 2 picks because I do want to take a punter with our 7th rounder. Best player available, is Jason Harbor. Thought about another linebacker here, but normal dev. He was like an early 3rd talent, so definitely solid value. Probably just a rotational piece / good depth. Terrible block shot. This guy is a pass rusher only. And for our 7th round pick, we're pulling a lottery ticket on one of these punters. I don't know which one I want to take. I'm kind of interested by the size of Greg Bryan. 3rd fastest 40. Interesting. Really great 3-cone compared to everybody else. Who's the fastest of these guys? Daniel Wilkerson? Yes, indeed he is. They're all power archetypes. He's 6'3". I was just going to go with the biggest one. Wilkerson's not far off. Number 1 punter on the board. Comment down below who you would take. Man, Greg Bryant seems really interesting. Bench press, 5. He did 5 reps on the bench. I gotta go with Bryant here. Good value, 64 overall, only 85 kick power. That's not great. Here's a recap of our draft class. Overall, I think it was pretty solid. Not a whole lot of impact guys right away, but a lot of pieces that we can use in year 3, really, our final regular season of the video. Here's how the draft shook out for the entirety of the NFL. Highest overall player was a right end, Jamie Hunt. It's almost always a running back or a DN, so this is encouraging. Falcons get a stud there. Free safety goes to the Dolphins. My Steelers get Greg Young, excuse me. But yeah, some good value. There you see running back Otis Walls goes to Minnesota. You trust their judgment on running backs. That is, Sharif Jefferson was somebody I was eyeing, 74 overall left end. Definitely not a bad choice if we took him. But yeah, and now, can I look at positions? I can't. I was going to see what the other punters were, but we can't see that. Oh well. Let's go ahead and simulate towards regular season number 2. So here is a look at the team before we get into season number 2. Real quick disclaimer, I just signed Riley Reef. Thought about trading for a right tackle, but it felt like we might need those picks / assets to make moves next offseason or draft a highly valuable player. Also need to sign a backup quarterback. As you can see, Patrick Mahomes and nobody else right now under center on our roster, but the offensive line is looking pretty damn good. Heitman actually is a higher overall center than Creed Humphrey. Moved him over to right guard. He went up by 2 overall, so he will be our LDT replacement next season. Overall, the offensive line looks solid. Tyreek Hill's a 99, as is Patrick Mahomes. Big year for McCole Hardman. Let's see how he produces. Zach Pascal, first year with this. He'll be our slot wide receiver with Crothers as wide receiver 4. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, our number 1 running back, followed by Darwin Thompson. And now for the defense, definitely a little better. Trent Murphy, better than Taco Charlton, who was playing left end. Took me a second, but got there. Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, really solid, obviously. Frank Clark, probably the last year he's in Kansas City. L'Jarius Sneed's up to an 85 overall. He's fantastic. Brian Poole, an 83 overall corner, and will play the nickel. Travarius Ward is up to a 77. Juan Thornhill, Tyrann Mathieu, great as always. Nick Bolton, Star Davin at a 78 overall. He continues to get better, as does Willie Gay and O'Daniel. Here are the specialists. CEH getting all the touches. Pascal and Poole playing in the respective slot spots. Clark, Murphy, with Jones, Nottie in between them. Bolton, Parks, Daniel, all the same from last year. We're in an 87 overall. One of the best rosters in football. Let's get after it. Before we get into season number 2, let's go ahead and make our goal, make the playoffs. I definitely think we can get back there a little bit earlier for bye week this year. I wonder how that doesn't really matter in Madden, so who am I kidding? But nonetheless, let's go ahead and simulate to the midseason point. Well, things are going not great. We are 2-5, taking on the Patriots next week with the same record, and we're coming off an 11-point loss to the Giants. Why? Why is this happening? Tyrann Mathieu's up for another massive contract. Brian Poole, also, we could bring him back. 1-year contract. I'd feel pretty comfortable doing that. Also, he'll get hit with regression, so that number will probably come down some. Orlando Brown Jr., definitely somebody I know we want to bring back. We're having a hard enough time signing a right tackle, so don't want to create another hole by getting rid of him. He likes the offer. Boom. There's our bookend left tackle for the future. Derek Nottie has star dev and is still getting better. Good run stopper. Think he fits well next to Chris Jones. Let's keep that tandem together. Actually, he wants more money, so we'll have to come back to that. LDT, we already have a replacement in place. Trent Murphy, same could be said. Jordan O'Daniel, I think we could get cheaper on the open market or just someone better. Baker, not worried about it. Riley Reef, hopefully we can find someone else. There's our backup quarterback. Antonio Callaway, depth player. And everybody else looks to be a backup. So I definitely want to come back and offer a new contract to Derek Nottie at the end of the season. But we got Orlando Brown to re-sign. And I'll wait on these two depending on how hard regression hits them and what our cap space situation looks like. I'd love to have them back because they're obviously both really good. But we can't quite make that plan right now. So bad news. We are not very good this year. But it looks like it's just the Broncos beating up on the rest of the AFC West. So that definitely stinks. Doesn't look like we're going to be a playoff caliber team again this season. 20th ranked offense in regards to yards. That's definitely disappointing. 21st in defense, slightly better than what it was at the end of last year. 17th in scoring, and the defense, very bad at 26th. So, yeah, not ideal. And none of the player stats there on the left side of the screen really jumped off the page. So, not a fantastic start to the year. Let's just go ahead and simulate to the end of the year. I'd be shocked if we're in the playoffs. So week 17, we came away with a 17-point win against the Baltimore Ravens. That's awesome. We finished the year 6-10, however. Here is the playoff bracket. We're going to go ahead and simulate to the Super Bowl. So if you really care about this, just pause real quick. And now we're going to go ahead and simulate to the Super Bowl so you can see who the matchup is and we can see who won the yearly awards. So Super Bowl 56 sees a battle between the Packers and the Titans. That'd be really fun. I really thought that Thursday night game last year was going to be more competitive than it actually was. Anyways, Matt Ryan goes back to back like he's on the cover of Lethal Weapon. Sean Payton wins Coach of the Year. Man, this is super interesting. Offensive Player of the Year, we'll just go ahead and skirt past that. Patrick Mahomes finishes third. And for Defensive Player of the Year, it goes to Miles Jack. He always seems to do fairly well in these rebuild series. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Lorenzo Goodwin of the New York Jets. No Chiefs. We didn't really have anybody getting playing time. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Colin Underwood, who figures to be our starting defensive end next year, finishes at 5th. Best quarterback, again, Mahomes was 3rd. Best running back, CEH, is at 6th. Best wide receiver, my guy Cole Beasley, takes home the award. Tyreek Hill at 9. Wyatt Teller, best offensive lineman. Best defensive lineman, again, it's Clowney and Garrett at the top of the list. This time, it's the other way around. Last year was Clowney then Garrett. This year, it's Garrett then Clowney. And Chris Jones was 7th. Best linebacker, Christian Kirksey. Interesting. And then best defensive back, Stephon Gilmore. And no Chiefs. Disappointing. But Harrison Butker, big bounce back season, comes away with best kicker. There we go. We have something to hang our hat on. Titans come away with their first Super Bowl? Yeah, right? That would be their first Super Bowl in franchise history, if I'm not mistaken, by 10 points. Even the best of the Green Bay Packers. Here are the 2021 retirements, including Calais Campbell, Trent Williams, and Alex Mack. Wow, Marcus Cannon, Jimmy Smith. A couple of big names, no doubt about it. Now we're going to start getting the guys who were backups. Clay Matthews, didn't think he was still in the NFL. And then Coach Bruce Arians. But with all that taken care of, we have now officially reached the offseason. Let's negotiate with a couple of these players. Tyrann Mathieu actually held at a 96 overall, and the offer came down anyways. He's really good. Superstar X-Factor development kind of limits how far he could fall. Brian Poole, I think, for a one-year deal, that makes some sense. I do want to make the offer to Tyrann Mathieu as well. This feels reasonable. Brian Poole wants to head to free agency. Whatever, dude. Tyrann Mathieu, man, I know he won't take it at 3 years, but I'll even bump up the money some. Try to throw us a bone. He's going to head to free agency, but he's actually not. We'll overpay him for one more year. That's all we have left. We only have one more regular season. So we'll have Tyrann Mathieu back for sure. I'd like to bring back Brian Poole. And let's go ahead and up the money for Derek Nottie and see if we can't get him back as well. Sorry, it has to be even numbers. That's going to bug me. And he does resign. So cool. Kept a lot of the core together, and everybody else is pretty much backups. So we are now on to free agency. But first, before we actually start negotiating, I'm going to go through the roster and see where we can save some money. Just as I anticipated, the penalty is significantly lower this year, about $7 million lower. So there's still a big penalty, but it also saves us almost $13 million by making the move to cut Frank Clark, who is regressing. He's down in overall. So definitely need to find another defensive end, but that frees up some money for us to play around with this free agency. Also need some help at linebacker. But when it comes to contract, I think that's really going to be the only one that we feel the need to release. Missing Charvarius Ward and then Brian Poole, of course. The safeties, they look totally fine. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. Now let's go ahead and look at the free agent crop. So good thing we cut Frank Clark. So we went from $12 million to play around with to 25, and there are a bunch of big name players in general. Fred Warner, that would be fantastic, but he's going to be too expensive. Devontae Adams is always available here. Calvin Ridley's a new one, and he would be such a money fit against City. I'd love to see that one day, but that's not what we are going to do. We do need a defensive end. Von Miller, I think, could play some 4-3 end, but he's got a ton of interest from around the league, so we'll probably go elsewhere. Safety, I think we're okay. Akeem Hicks would be kind of an interesting run-stopping fit for us, but nonetheless, I'm going to go through all these players and see what options we have. Wow, we have not been able to find a right tackle in this series, so if we could get Mike McGlinchey, especially at a pretty reasonable price, that would be fantastic, and it would really patch up. I mean, right guard's not great. Creed Humphrey's only like a 73 overall, but McGlinchey would pretty much complete this offensive line. And we desperately need a right end, and we could bring back Frank Clark, but Marcus Davenport is just better. He's just better, and he's younger. Star Dev, only 25 years old. There are the stats. Yeah, I'm thinking we offer him a contract. It wouldn't leave us with a whole lot of money, but 93 points. He has no other interest. I think that's going to be a big-time move if Davenport signs the dotted line. Unfortunately, because of those moves, I don't know if we could really afford Brian Poole. We're going to probably be just short. We basically could give him a little less than half of what he's looking for. So I'm going to look through any other options that might be here. I'm a big Levi Wallace fan, but also Mike Hughes, 25 years old, star dev. Actually just got traded in real life. Hasn't really worked out with the Minnesota Vikings. Also could just bring back Charvarius Ward and maybe draft a corner. Rashad Fenton's also a 77 overall, so he's not too bad. I'm a big fan of Ward. He always has a balanced skill set, so I think I'm going to make this offer to Ward, and that's pretty much going to deplete what we have left in salary. Actually, we can't even make this offer to him, so let me just lower that some. There's the offer, 55 points. Maybe we can bring him in. If not, there are other options lower down the board here, but I'd like to bring back Ward. I like him, and that would at least give us 3 competent CBs. Rambling aside, we now reach stage 2, and you see it on your screen. Huge signings. This is already a star-studded cast and a very top-heavy roster. Let's just make it a little more top-heavy. Mike McGlinchey, Marcus Davenport, fantastic signings, and we are out of money, and that leaves just Charvarius Ward, and he has no other interest from around the league, so I am okay with that. Washington football team, when it rains, it pours, they bring in Von Miller. Wow. We're going to wait and see more of that. No offers for all these players, which is just nonsensical. Micah Hyde actually has some interest, and so does Akeem Hicks, but yeah, this was one hell of a free agent class. Also, Brian Poole with no offers. Maybe he's available after the draft. Maybe we can get lucky. We'll see. Also, Chris Barnes, pretty good linebacker. Could have gone after him, but again, not a whole lot of money. Anyways, let's go ahead and move forward to stage 3. Charvarius Ward has decided to return to Kansas City. We have no 5th-year options to pick up, so now I'm going to kind of think about potential players we could trade, maybe get some additional assets, or really, the assets is great, but potentially getting us some money so we could spend and maybe get some of the other players that are still available. Love to go after one of those linebackers, but I just don't think that's going to be in the cards. Not a whole lot of players here I would want to trade, so we're actually just going to go ahead and move on to the NFL draft. Here are the players who are still available after free agency has come and gone. Naheem Hines leads the pack, couple special teams guy. Russell Gage Jr. is actually a pretty decent player. Traquan Smith, Trey Flowers as well. Here were our signings: Mike McGlinchey, Marcus Davenport, and Charvarius Ward. Very happy with those 3 signings. Fred Warner follows Robert Saleh to New York. Interesting. Devontae Adams also go to New York, just going to play for the Giants. Calvin Ridley goes to Cincy. My God, just more weapons for Joe Burrow. Just go at it. Von Miller, Washington football team. We saw that earlier. The Jags have Trevor Lawrence. But why settle with Trevor Lawrence when you can get Baker Mayfield? Obviously. Ryan Jensen's back in Tampa. Michael Gallup goes to Carolina. Here are some of the other signings from across the league. Again, it was a fantastic free agency pool. Speaking of pool, Brian Poole is going to Chicago. Chris Barnes on his way to Carolina as well. But with all this taken care of, let's jump into the NFL draft. And we were 6-10, so we should have a pick in the top half of the first round, which should mean we get an impact first round option. And you know how big of an impact? We hold the number 6 pick in this draft, so simulating to that point won't be a long wait. Let's look and see what the board has in store for us. Man, that's that's a beautiful sight. Wow. All the first round talent. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, I'm going to comb through some potential options here and show you who I like. So after looking over the options here, I think we're set on wide receiver. We don't need a defensive tackle or a running back. So really this came down to the edge rushers. There also was a linebacker that looked pretty solid. Where was he? Maybe I'm making that up. There's also a couple of good corners, and Andrew Fulton, I think, is who we're going to eye and try to get in the second round. It came down to a pair of left ends, Caleb Tongue and Deshaun Mayberry. Mayberry has the second round projection, but early first round talent. So does Tongue. They're both early firsts. I was thinking maybe we could wait to get Mayberry, but I think going the corner route in round 2 will be better. And we'll go Caleb Tongue here I don't know if either one of these will be available in the second round either. I did like Tung's stats, plus Power Rusher feels like it fits the 3-4. So we're taking him, plug and play starter on the defensive line. Really the one big area weakness other than linebacker for us. And then some cornerback depth as well. Caleb Tung, number 6 player in the draft. That's where we took him. 84 speed, 83 strength, and power move. Not great block shed, but I'm excited to see what he can do in his rookie year. So we're back on the clock here in the second round, and you saw all the first round talents in the first round? Yeah, not a whole lot of them left here at the top of the board, but obviously still some really solid options. Could go tight end, could go defensive tackle, I suppose, but I'm thinking that corner I saw, yeah, Andrew Fulton. I think that's going to be our best option. I'm going to go ahead and look at the linebackers one more time because that's really the only other area of need for us as of right now. But second round run stopper, I think we could go with him with our next pick. Power rusher, another run stopper. Yeah, so Andrew Fulton, by far the best value. We could use some extra corners. He's also got good size, 4'4", 440. Say that 5 times fast. We're going to take him here in the second round. 22nd player in the class. Took him at 38. 73 overall, 92 speed. Okay stats. I'm thinking he's CB4 year 1. He's not better than Fenton or Ward or anything, but good depth. And honestly, the recording hasn't been too long. I'm thinking I might do one more offseason just to give you 3 full off seasons and then 4 seasons. Give it a little bit more to this video. Also, if you're familiar with these rebuilds from when I first started the channel, I used to do 3 seasons and it would be, off season then regular season. So by going 2 off seasons and 3 seasons, it kind of gyps y'all of what I used to do, but that's neither here nor there. Back on the clock here in the third round. Obviously still lots of really good players. Could go out there and get a future right tackle. That is actually really tempting. Actually, right as I say that, I totally remembered it's not Riley Reef we just signed. It's Mike McGlinchey, so ignore me. We are good for right now. So Randall Rush looks to have one of the highest grades left available. There's also a second round option up here, but that's a speed rusher. Really, we're looking for somebody who's more of a off-ball coverage linebacker. So Thomas Truman does look pretty good, but Randall Rush is a better scheme fit for us. Number 55 player in the class. We drafted him at pick number 70. A little older too, at 23 years old, but pretty balanced skill set. Not a great pass rusher, but everything else, he looks to be pretty good. So here with our 4th round selection, Mike Chamberlain's pretty good value. I know we've drafted a fair amount of defensive ends, but we also released Frank Clark, so we might need a couple of starters. I don't know if Chamberlain's necessarily a starter right away, but he could become the backup rotational piece. We start some of the players we drafted last year as well as our first rounder this year, and Chamberlain has a decent skill set, so felt like the right pick to make there. Time to make our 5th round pick. There's actually a couple of safeties left on the board. I'm basically just going to take whichever one has the higher grade. Mid-third runs a 4.4. That's going to be tough to beat. Late third, all right. The pick is going to be DeAndre Ayers. Just a little bit of cornerback depth. Also, hidden dev. Okay, there might be something here with DeAndre Ayers. Maybe a Juan Thornhill replacement. I think he has 1 more year on his rookie deal, but he was a second-round pick, so 4 years. Don't know the exact timetable of that, but at the minimum, Ayers, good special teams guy, if that matters in Madden, and he's solid depth. Only a couple players left on the board that we scouted. I'm just going to go ahead and take Lawton here. Looks to be an okay player. It's additional cornerback depth, and now I think I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to the computer. So here's a recap of our draft class. Caleb Tung, really excited to see what he does in year 1. Andrew Fulton, good additional depth. The CB core, Randall Rush, and a lot of these other guys are going to be backups here. The players, or actually really it's just Zaire Castle. That was drafted by the computer. Overall, this looks like a really solid draft class, so I'm eager to see what the top overall is. Actually, only a 77 overall. It's kind of low. We saw an 80 overall in year 1, but Deshaun Mayberry, one of the guys we were eyeing, he actually did fall in the second round. Not to pick 6, but he was a 77 overall, so slightly higher than Caleb Tung. Tung has normal dev. Oh, man. Do not tell me Mayberry has hidden dev, because if he does, I'm going to be kicking myself. Okay, he's got normal dev too, so it's not that big of a difference. So we got a little lucky there, but nonetheless, here is what the draft class looks like. So we are about to go into season number 3. Here's a look at the team. The offensive line, Creed Humphrey's a little low, but the O-line does look really solid. Travis Kelce's obviously fantastic. Pat Mahomes, 99 overall with Kelce and Hill. CEH is up to an 89, which is also very good. Pascal's at an 80. Mecole Hardman up to an 83, and I'm going to move Crothers up to wide receiver 4. He's also our second slot wide receiver. Here's what the defense looks like. And during the draft where I was saying I need another D end, I forgot we signed Marcus Davenport. Sometimes it could be really hard being a GM, I guess. But Davenport, big addition there next to Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, and then Caleb Tung, we took in the first round. That front four, hopefully, will be lethal. Linebacking core is not great. Bolton's up to an 80. Willie Gay's at a 73. Our rookie Rush is going to get some PT. And Tyrann Mathieu still at a 96. Juan Thornhill at an 82. With Ayers, with Hidden Dev, backing them up. L'Jarius Sneed, obviously still a stud, with Charvarius Ward and Rashad Fenton accompanying them. And then Fulton is CB4. Here are the specialists. Also, there's the special teams if you care. Here are the specialists: Pascal, Fenton, Tung, Davenport, the rush ends, Jones, Nottie between them. CEH gets all the touches. Bolton, Gay, Ayers, just as you'd imagine. Let's jump into year number. Kind of forgot like where we were in this video, but this is the third regular season. Let's jump to the midseason point. Hopefully, we're a lot better than 2-5 like we were last year. I say 7-0 is pretty big improvement there. So we're doing fantastic. That's awesome to see. Here are our free agents. I will go ahead and just throw all the money in the world at Tyreek Hill, 5-year contract, and he wants more money. We'll give you whatever you want, Reek. Tyrann Mathieu, honestly, we're going to wait till regression might knock down that money again. We are going to do one more offseason, I think. So I'm intrigued by bringing him back. We did draft another safety, but Matthew's still playing at a high level. And then Joe Tooney, interested to see how regression might hit him and how that offer changes. Mecole Hardman's actually been pretty solid. Juan Thornhill's a starter. Whew. Wow, this is one hell of an offseason. Zach Pascal, I'll have to see his stats. I think we could be able to, and we also drafted a wide receiver a couple of years ago, so that's not that big of a deal. Rashad Fenton, we can find someone as good, maybe even better on the open market. And then everybody else looks to be a backup, including Darwin Thompson. And yeah, Kyle Luletta, wow, you have our pride. But man, okay, this is going to be interesting. We're going to wait on a lot of these guys to see their production and how regression hits them, but tried to sign Reek. He wasn't about it, at least not right now. Here's the AFC West standings. We are leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. We have pretty much already locked up the division win. Here are what the stats look like. 13th best offense in regards to yardage. 8th in defensive yards. So that front four, I'm telling you, is what made the difference. 6th in scoring. That's fantastic. And the defense at 4th. Let's go. Having a legit pass rush goes such a long way in this game. I'm liking where we're at. We're going to go ahead and simulate to the postseason. We're 7-0. I'm going to say we finished the year 13-3. I swear this video is all done live comm. I'm just an absolute beast. Call it 13-3. So we did win the division, but we did not secure a top 2 seed to get a first round bye. Interesting. Here is the playoff bracket, or I should say, we didn't secure the number 1 seed to get a first round bye, but we're the 2 seed taking on the worst of the wildcard teams, the Jags. Here's the rest of the playoff picture. We finished the season with the number 6 offense in regards to yardage. Pat Mahomes was top 7 in a number of different passing stats. Top 10 defense in yardage. Number 5 scoring offense. You love to see that production. And the number 13 scoring defense. So it did come down a little bit, but it was still very good. Patrick Mahomes, fantastic as always. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, more than 4 yards a carry, still very efficient. Only 6 touchdowns this time around. And Darwin Thompson, vulturing, had to have been 2.9 yards a carry, but with 10 tutties. Very interesting. Zach Pascal leads the way with more than 1,000 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns for Tyreek Hill, also 9 for Mecole Hardman. Travis Kelce with just under 1,000 yards receiving. When it comes to pass blocking, this offensive line is juiced. Mike McGlinchey allows 6, and that is a very livable mark. It keeps going with Nick Bolton. This guy is just an absolute stud. Tyrann Mathieu also up and over the century mark, or at the century mark. In regards to tackles, 17 tackles for loss for Chris Jones, joined by Marcus Davenport and Nick Bolton in double figures. And this is what I wanted to see. Multiple players with high sack totals. I saw 11 sacks. I didn't think it was Willie Gay, but Willie Gay, second to just our new acquisition, Marcus Davenport. Caleb Tung, 6 sacks in his rookie season. Very solid mark. Chris Jones was 7.5 as well. And for INTs leading the pack, Nick Bolton tied with Tyrann Mathieu. Dude, what can Nick Bolton not do? What an absolute stud. Harrison Butker, an okay season. So let's go ahead and simulate 1 week into the future, and I assume we will knock off the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have got to be kidding me. Should have knocked on wood. How did I let this happen? We lose in the first round to the 8-8 Jacksonville Jaguars, despite having more yards passing and rushing than them. Yeesh, and more first downs by almost 10. Nice. Here's the box score, a pick and a touchdown for Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. What a QB room. Can we talk about this? Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, Gardner Minshew. What a QB room there in Jacksonville. 5.1 yards per carry for CEH. Probably should have gotten some more touches. Also found the end zone. Darwin Thompson did as well. For the receiving figures, Jordan Cook cooked us with a touchdown, almost 100 yards receiving. Top receiving option for us was Travis Kelce. And Tyreek Hill, 4 for 71. Not too bad. Receiving touchdown for Noah Gray. But, man, this is what disappointment feels like. This is just unbelievable. How do we lose as the 2 seed in the first round of the Jags? Guess they got hot at the right time and had what it took. Beat us in Arrowhead. That is a really sad way to come to a close. But we're going to go ahead and do one more offseason, do it real quick, and then get through one more regular season in this video. It's Super Bowl 57, and it's Ravens-Packers playing in the big game. Again, that would be an awesome matchup to see. NFL MVP goes to Cam Newton, proving that he still has plenty left in the tank. Patrick Mahomes finishes 7th. Coach of the Year goes to John Harbaugh. And then Matt LaFleur, and then Andy Reid finished at 3rd, so that's the highest we've been so far in this series. AFC Offensive Player of the Year goes to Zach Wilson. Patrick Mahomes finishes in 5th. Defensive Player of the Year is Myles Garrett. Nick Bolton finishes at 6th. He's been fantastic. Offensive Rookie of the Year is Jordan Cook. We felt his wrath. Any Chiefs didn't think so. Defensive Rookie of the Year, there we go. Caleb Tung just edges out Randall Rush. So both of our rookies making a ton of impact on a very good team right away. Also had Andrew Fulton, our CB4, make the cut at number 5. Best QB is Cam Newton. Patrick Mahomes is at number 5. Best running back, Nick Chubb, just ahead of Josh Jacobs. CEH is at 8th. Best wide receiver, Russell Gage, who was a free agent past the NFL draft last season, keep in mind. No Chiefs. Best offensive line, Orlando Brown did actually make it. And, so did Joe Tooney. Skip right past him. Best defensive lineman, Myles Garrett. Marcus Davenport, just ahead of Chris Jones, going 7 and 8. Best linebacker, TJ Watt, well-deserved, I'm sure. Nick Bolton at 6. Best DB, again, Desmond King, now a 2-time winner of that award. Tracy Walker behind him at 2nd. Benjamin St-Juste, the Chargers. Interesting. And no Chiefs there. Best kicker, Michael Badgley. Here are the 2022 retirements, including Justin Houston, Roger Saffold, Ben Jones, Brian Bulaga, Cole Beasley calls it quits a year or 2 removed from winning Best Wide Receiver, Manuel Sanders, Janoris Jenkins. Definitely an interesting group of players to call it quits. Now we're going to go ahead and talk to our free agents. Also, by the way, what a Super Bowl. Packers edge out the Ravens, get redemption from losing last year to the Titans, edge out Baltimore by a touchdown. That would be an awesome game to have witnessed. But again, let's talk about our free agents. Tyreek Hill, we want to bring him back, no doubt about it. It's our final offseason, so we're also not really worried about long term. We'll bump up the money, and he wants to head to free agency. And I'm thinking, not so fast. You're getting the franchise tag, so it won't be a problem of ours trying to re-sign him. Tyrann Mathieu actually went up in overall. You are kidding me. What can he not do? At this point, he's worth the money. I'm going to go ahead and bump this up. Go ahead and get it to $43.5 million. There it is, over 3 years. And he wants to not sign. That is really disappointing. Another good year from Mecole Hardman. I'm thinking he's worth the money. He seems like he's been pretty solid with Tyreek Hill. And he's happy to re-sign. So we'll keep him around. Joe Tooney only wants a 1-year deal. I think we can make that work. We're kind of flying through the cap that we have, and he wants to play for a new team next year, so that's less than ideal. Juan Thornhill, I'm going to go ahead and look at our free safety we drafted last year, look at his stats, but I don't know. I'd like Thornhill if we don't get back Tyrann Mathieu, but if we get Mathieu, I don't think we can afford both of them, and then everybody else looks like bench players, and I want to save a little bit of money for potential moves in the offseason. Also, we're not going to bring back Zach Pascal. He was fine this year, but I think we could do better, and we also drafted one a couple years ago. So here's DeAndre Ayers, by the way. I was just looking through the rosters. No real cuts to be made. Okay in coverage, 93 speed's not bad. Does have star dev, so if we can't get Juan Thornhill because we have to spend money elsewhere, I feel like Ayers is okay, but probably still a year away from being a high-level starter. Also, 95 offense. You got to be kidding me. This team is crazy. But let's go ahead and look at this free agent group. A little more than $30 million to spend. Yeah, 31.2. Tyrann Mathieu, the top free agent, and he's got a ton of interest from around the league. That's less than ideal. Nick Bosa, though, no interest. We just don't really need him. Quinn Williams would be fantastic, but again, not a big position to need. So Tyrann Mathieu, here we go. We are breaking the bank for you, my guy. Please return. That would be awesome. 31 years old, but you are well worth the money, and we still can't edge out Tampa Bay. Imagine a Tampa Bay secondary with him and Antoine Winfield. That would be lethal. Small, but lethal. We are now the top contract offer for Mathieu. There are some good wide receivers. Deontay Johnson would be interested in playing the slot. Maybe even someone like Hunter Renfrow, who's progressed well. We could also get Zach Pascal back. I think I'm going to go ahead and look at our wide receiver that we drafted a few years ago and see how his numbers are looking. But right now, I think I'm going to turn my attention to Joe Thuney, who also has a good amount of interest. If we can't get him, Cody Ford is fine. Let's see if there's any right guards. DeCastro is okay. Weston Richburg could be fine. LDT, you could bring him back and play him at left guard. Thuney really only wants the 1-year deal, so I feel like this is an okay offer to make. 96 points. You are the top offer. We'll see. I might come back and readjust that offer if there's somebody else I want to throw an offer to. So we currently don't have a second middle linebacker on the roster. Jelani Tavai has some okay stats. So for depth, decent backup. He has no other interest from anybody else. So hopefully we can get him for kind of cheap. 81 points in the offer sounds about fair. Also, I had no idea, but Charvarius Ward, again, as a free agent, he's up to an 80 overall. And the stats are still pretty solid, and he feels like an okay player to be playing on the outside. We also have Fulton, but I think we can get Ward here for cheap, and we're out of money. So let's look at the market for Juan Thornhill. Right now, it's nobody. But that's going to change soon after Devin McCourty gets signed. Juan Thornhill is going to become the eyes and the prize for many of these teams. There's also Jimmy Ward, a couple other players we could use as a year-long protection if we lose him, maybe Anthony Harris. But let's go ahead and simulate the stage 2 and see where we come away with a win. Maybe a couple of signings. That would be great. So after stage 1, we have Jelani Tavai, accepted contract, and Charvarius Ward, as well as Joe Thuney, but Tyrann Mathieu has declined. So now cap is no longer really an issue. And now I turn my attention to Juan Thornhill because we desperately need to get one of those two safeties back. And as anticipated, actually all the attention went to Micah Hyde. No complaints here. I will take Juan Thornhill and maybe move him to strong safety. Doesn't have great hit power, but it's better than Ayers. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a 3-year contract and kind of get a little cheap here. But 96 points were his only offer, so he should accept. Here is what Lindsey Crothers' stats look like, and I think he's a more than serviceable slot wide receiver for us. 80 short route running, 75 medium. It's not great, but it's okay. And he could just be a big body slot guy with the speedsters, Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman on the outside. So I don't think we're going to go ahead and make a move for any wide receiver. Instead, I'm going to find where I can use this money. We could use a number 2 running back in Raheem Mostert's here. And I'm pretty sure he's still very fast, 97 speed. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and give a 1-year deal here to Raheem Mostert, lower the money a little bit. Still got a little bit more than $4.5 million to play around with. I did want to bring in a 4th wide receiver just because we could use somebody there. And Denzel Mims is kind of interesting. Deep threat, big body guy. Don't have somebody like that on the roster. Give him a 2-year contract. And I wanted to make sure it was somebody below a 75 overall. I know I can just adjust the depth chart, but I wanted to make sure that the computer didn't do something crazy. Actually, Andy Isabella would have been interesting. But regardless, wanted to make sure that Crothers was our 3rd wide receiver. So could have gone after somebody like Deontay Johnson or Josh Reynolds, Kendrick Bourne, or one of these names up here at the top of the list. But wanted to make sure it was somebody that would get playing time with us. And that is pretty much all the money we had left. So we made it to stage 3, and we have a fullback who signed also. Denzel Mims is going to be our 4th wide receiver, and Juan Thornhill is returning to Kansas City, so I will move him over to strong safety. We also have a 5th-year option to pick up here for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up because he's been fantastic in the series. It'll be interesting to see what Kansas City does at this spot in a few years' time, just given the 5th-year option is so player-friendly nowadays. But is this going to be an organization that can afford to pay a running back, you know, in a couple of years' time? I don't know, man, because by then you're already paying Orlando Brown, and obviously Patrick Mahomes making big money. You'll have to pay Tyreek Hill again. So I don't know. Really interesting stuff. And the computer actually put Ayers at strong safety. 6'4", he's huge, so I kind of get that. 83 zone coverage. I think that's actually better than one Thornhill, which all the more I want to play Thornhill near the line of scrimmage. Actually, it's about the same, but yeah, I'm going to make one Thornhill our strong safety instead and have Ayers at 6'4", 84 zone coverage, a little bit faster than Thornhill too. Just have him be the deep coverage guy. I'm kind of liking the idea of that. But we're pretty much out of money, so I'm going to go ahead and just simulate to the NFL draft and show you the recap of free agency as well. So here are the players who are still available. Some pretty servable options, honestly. Might have to dip my toes in there. Unfortunately, Raheem Mostert didn't have interest in becoming running back 2 for Kansas City, so I might draft one, or I'll just go sign a running back at the end of the draft. Here were our signings. Joe Tooney's coming back, so is Juan Thornhill, Charvarius Ward. We bring in Chalani Tavai, Denzel Mims, and Nick Bawden. League signings, Tyrann Mathieu going to Tampa. I can't believe he's up in overall at age 31, but man, what a signing. And then the Minnesota Vikings dropped the bank for Nick Bosa. That'd be so sick to see in real life. Not a Vikings fan, but that would be gnarly. Quinnen Williams is going to Atlanta. I saw Grady Jarrett's a free agent. He's going to Houston. Interesting. Kareem Hunt's also on his way to the ATL. J.J. Watt's going to play for Robert Saleh in New York. Packers signing Kenny Golladay would be super interesting. Kendall Fuller, Deontay Johnson both go to Philly. A lot of interesting moves here. This would be all fun stuff to see one day. Tony Pollard going to Pittsburgh, as it looked like Casey Hayward Jr. was as well. But now that you have an idea for who is going where, let's go ahead and jump into the NFL Draft. We hold the 24th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, so we're going to go ahead and simulate that point now. And this is obviously a tough spot because we don't really have anybody who is probably going to be an early first-round talent. Therefore, they're probably not an immediate impact type of player. But mid-first-round talent in Ahmad Waynes, that could be a decent option. We could get a center, conceivably. Could go out there and get a corner. There's potential upgrades to be had there. Let me see. He's actually a late first, but good 40 time, mid-first-round talent here, but slow. That kind of sucks. David Booker, late first round, killed the combine. Okay, I'm going to go through all these options and let you know who stands out. So with our first round pick, it came down to Markel Lofton and maybe playing him off ball instead of middle linebacker. Maybe even moving Nick Bolton to off ball. I know Reggie Rush was pretty good last year, but we could get better, and Lofton's probably a higher overall. Also, maybe just moving on from Willie Gay, who hasn't done anything really splashy so far in this series. Also could eye at a safety. Ahmad Waynes is a mid-first round pick, but really the pick would be Tamani Patrick. 4.41 speed, number 1 in the class at safety, hit power and zone coverage in the top 3, which to me is just like, play this guy at strong safety. He's going to be okay around the line of scrimmage. He's going to be a hard hitter, a little small, but then we could play Juan Thornhill as the deep safety, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Markel Lofton. One, he's a mid-first round talent, so you feel comfortable with that. Great top 3, great combine, and I know we can play him off ball, and I know he's a starter versus maybe finding a safety who could be a starter. 75 overall, number 10 player in the class. It's going to be a good draft class if he's number 10. Also, hidden dev, obviously, bearing the lead there. 89 speed, pretty good block shed, honestly, for where he's at. 89 hit power. Yeah, I'm thinking this guy's a starter, probably off ball for us, and that's a fantastic addition for the one spot I know we can continue to get better at. And here in the second round, we could go out there and get a backup running back. Justin Bates looks to be pretty good. 4.41, kind of very CEH-like, so could be a decent player to take here in the second round. Speed rusher, outside linebacker. We already have pretty good pass rush options. Cornerback is kind of where I was leaning towards going with this pick, just because we do have Charvarius Ward back, and we have Fulton from last year, but maybe a fourth corner wouldn't hurt. And it does look like that other safety is gone that I was eyeing, some of those free safeties. Yeah, Frank Spears, the top guy. That is not who we were looking at. So, yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be a depth spot, and I don't really remember who I was looking at. Let me go remember who it was. Yeah, sorry, I was rambling there, but thinking we could use a fourth corner, and there's some good options later on to do that. So I'm actually going to do something I almost never do in these videos and take a running back. Justin Bates, obviously good value, first-round talent, third-round projection, hidden dev, and honestly, we saw Darwin Thompson with 10 touchdowns last year, so receiving back, number 2 archetype right behind elusive, so he's very CEH-like, but when CEH needs to come off the field, we at least have somebody who's pretty darn good, honestly, to come on the field. And maybe, you know, we're not going to do it, but we have the 5th-year option for CEH, but in 2 years' time, Bates could be a logical replacement. Sorry, I don't know what I just did with my screen, but we're on to the 3rd round. To me in this spot, it is either safety or cornerback, and I'm thinking we can wait on safety. That guy is super slow. Dwayne Babber here actually is a pretty decent option, 6'4" as well, but 5th round projection, I think we can wait on that, not taking a kicker. Instead, let's go with one of these corners, intrigued by Rocky Johnson. Late 2nd round, kind of slow, if I saw that right. Late 2nd round talent here. Okay, so it's going to be a pick between one of those 2 players. Which one are we feeling? Better combine green, but 4.52 speed is just not going to cut it. So we will go with Sherwin Pickney. Also, hidden depth, fantastic. Took him 30 spots higher than his, or he's 30 slots better than where we took him. Okay stats, he's going to be cornerback 4. It's just really a depth position type of selection. Okay, this is going to be the final pick that I make here. Marvin Moore, early 3rd round talent, but slow. Wait, hold on. Where was the safety? Was it Trey Merritt? That looked okay. Mid 3rd round talent. Hold on. Is that safety gone? I thought there was a 2nd round talent somewhere in the mix here. Okay, that is not ideal. Yeah, there was like a 6'4" safety I thought I liked, and he is now gone. Not good. So here in the 4th round, we're just going to go take the best safety available. I think the one that I was looking at is now off the board, but Marvin Moore, he's slow, but he is big and could be a strong safety in the future. He's really just somebody who can be safety 3 now that Ayers is a starting player for us. But from here on out, I'm going to hand it off to the computer, and it will take it the rest of the way. Here's our draft recap. Really excited about Markel Lofton. I think he's going to be a stud starting for us. And then Bates is going to be a nice running back too. Let's go ahead and look at what this draft class looked like for the entire league. Top players, 78 overall, shared by a few different players, a couple of running backs, and then Norman Parrish. And then we get to the 77s, where our draft pick was. Actually, I guess he was not a 77. He was a 76, I suppose. Or 75, excuse me. There he is, Markel Lofton. But yeah. Anyways, here's how the draft class played out. Good pick there, Evan Ross to the Bears. But yeah. Now we can go ahead and move forward to our 4th and final season of the video. Alright, so we are about to head into the final season of the video. Here is a look at the team. The offensive line looks pretty darn stellar. Travis Kelce, obviously a stud. Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, fastest outside wide receivers in the league. Crothers is going to be our slot wide receiver. Denzel Mims is wide out 4. CEH just ahead, or not really just ahead, but CEH the top dog and the running back, and then Bates, our rookie 2nd round pick, I think it was. We'll be backing him up. Patrick Mahomes still a 99 overall. Here is the defense, and I think it might be the best one yet. I don't know. No Tyrann Mathieu definitely dampens it a little bit, but Ayers going to start at free safety, Thornhill at strong. And I moved Markel Lofton to left outside linebacker. Again, I know Reggie Rush was 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting, but not going to be afraid to get better. And 7 overall better, that sounds good. Plus hidden dev is fantastic. And then the front 4, I think, made a huge difference last year. Marcus Davenport, Carl Tung, year 2 of the 2 of those, with Jones, Nottie in between them. Fulton is going to be our nickel corner, which, speaking of that, let me go ahead and show you the specialists now. Fulton, Crothers, like I said, will be our respective slot players. Tung, Davenport is the rush ends. Jones, Nottie between them. CEH gets all the touches with Bates behind him. And then Bolton, Lofton, Willie Gay Jr. as our sub linebackers. So with all that taken care of, let's go ahead and simulate to the midseason mark. I'm hoping this is the year that we can come away with the Lombardi. So a 4-3 record as of week 9 is not ideal, but it's good for a tie atop the AFC West with the LA Chargers. So it could be worse. 19th in regards to offensive yards. Pat Mahomes is barely in the top 20 in yards and touchdowns. That is unbelievable. 17th in defensive yards. 13th in scoring, so slightly better mark there. And for the defense, 21st in points allowed. I'm trying to speed run through this final season as it's year number 4, but hopefully this team can kind of figure it out down the stretch, build up some chemistry, and we can make it in the playoffs. So we have made it to the playoffs, and I originally gave myself a heart attack thinking we didn't make it, but no practice players were signed. So that lets you know we secured the number 1 seed. So we were 4-3 at the midseason mark, and we finished the year 13-3. Winners of 9 in a row. So chemistry, getting acclimated with the scheme, whatever it was. Also, the stats just look way better now. So that we figured it out. Number 2 offense in regards to yards. 16th in defense. That's definitely a livable mark. third in regards to scoring, and our defense finished 10th. So, wow, that is so much better than what it was at the midseason point. Pat Mahomes put together an MVP type of season. Let's see if he came away with it. CEH, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, fantastic. And Justin Bates with 9 touchdowns. Might have come away with Offensive Rookie of the Year because of the tutties. 2,000-yard receivers and nearly a third, and honestly, almost a fourth. Wow, this offense was fantastic. Tyreek Hill also with 12 touchdowns. Kelsey with 1,100, or almost a little over 1,000 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Hardman with 11 touchdowns, nearly the 1,000-yard mark. And first year as a starter, Lindsey Crothers, almost 1,000-yard output. Fantastic work all the way around for the offense. And when it comes to the pass protection, Mike McGlinchey and Orlando Brown give up the most between the two, but both very livable marks. For the defense, Nick Bolton, 107 tackles, so up and over that century mark yet again. Tackles for loss, Chris Jones leads the way, followed by Bolton. And the sack production also led by Jones, 9.5 for Marcus Davenport, and then 7 for Markel Lofton, the rookie. Might have come away with Defensive Rookie of the Year. Fantastic stuff. INTs, L'Jarius Sneed with 3, and then only 2 more, 1 for Ayers and 1 for Ward. So that's a little low, but all in all, fantastic season. Harrison Butker, again, fantastic work. And the good news is with a first-round bye, we cannot be knocked out of the playoffs in the first round. So we have already guaranteed our furthest trip into the postseason of the video. So that is obviously fantastic. Let's go ahead and simulate to the divisional round and see who we'll take on. Actually, first, let's see what our weekly award, Pat Mahomes, 5 touchdowns. Yeah, just doing his thing. Justin Fields won it for the NFC. That's pretty cool to see as well. But anyways, we're on to the divisional round. Well, you wouldn't have asked for anything else. We're taking on the LA Chargers, a battle between AFC West teams. They were the top dog when it comes to the wildcard teams. Here's the playoff bracket. With us as the 1 seed, the Jets, the 2 seed, taking on the Colts, Packers, Seahawks, and then Cowboys, Saints. A lot of fun action. Let's go ahead and simulate to the conference championship. That's me knocking on wood. Hopefully, we will be in it. You have got to be kidding me. Again, a game where we dominate in regards to yardage, equal amount of first down. This should have been a win. We give up 13 points in the fourth quarter. That's the difference. We choke. Madden has put the Andy Reid curse. I know he won a Super Bowl a couple years ago now, but you know what we used to always say about him when he was in Philly? He just couldn't win the big games, and that has now come into Madden. Great day for CEH, but man, what a disappointing end to our season, as I'll show you the stats. God, man, we just could not win the big game with this team. But we built one hell of a roster, in my opinion. So, no fault of our own. But man, sad to see it come to a close. Super Bowl 58 to matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Indianapolis Colts. Pretty cool stuff. NFL MVP goes to Lamar Jackson, just edging out Patrick Mahomes. We can't even win there. But we won Coach of the Year with Andy Reid. That's fantastic. First time I can say that. AFC Offensive Player of the Year is Pat Mahomes over Lamar Jackson, which makes no sense. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Myles Jack. Any Chiefs? Nope. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Justin Bates. That's awesome to see. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Markel Lofton. What about, oh wow, I definitely thought we would have our other rookie get in the top 10, but I guess not. Instead, Lofton is the winner, though. I'll take that. Best QBs, Pat Mahomes. Best running back, Nick Chubb. And then CEH is at 8th. Best wide receivers, Jacoby Myers. What a weird world. And then Tyreek Hill at 8th. He never got above 8th in this series. A couple of Chiefs make it here. Orlando Brown, Joe Tooney, and then Mike McGlinchey at 6, 7, and 9, respectively, I believe. And then best defensive line, we do get a Chief in there, Chris Jones at 7. Best linebacker goes to Fred Warner. Surprisingly, no Chiefs. Best DB, Asante Samuel Jr. He's going to be a stud. And no Chiefs again. And then Harrison Butker finishes 2nd in Best Kicker Awards. Unfortunately, it's another early exit for our Kansas City Chiefs, but that's going to do it for the video, and I wanted to show you the team one final time. Pat Mahomes, 99 overall, and has 2 upgrades waiting for him. Just unbelievable stuff, but here is the offense we finish with, and here is the defense that got really, really good towards the end of the series. Happy with what we did. Also, Lofton, superstar, X Factor, what a slam dunk pick, and last year's draft for us. But that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like button. It would help me out a ton. Let me know in the comment section, do you think the Kansas City Chiefs win a Super Bowl in the next 3 to 5 years? Also, if you're new to the channel, like sports content, like this video, and want more of this type of content, please consider subscribing. But hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. My name is Tej, and until next time, I am signing off.
part of the last generation that remembers time of God. She's